it going, everybody? We're trying something a little different today. Something new, something improved. So bear with us in mind as we're trying a new set piece here, a new setup, so we can actually see each other. Look, we exist in the same place. We're not just talking.
Working out of our own
Let
studio.
me move this so we look a little bit better. We're looking more forward to you guys here. That helps us out with the stream before. And we can see when you guys are talking too. So that's always appreciative.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just check, make sure the audio's all good. Everyone can hear us pretty good, I hope.
Looks like we're all right.
If we have any problems, speak now or never hear your volume. Where's my headset at?
Oh.
Screw it, we're going live. All right, guys. Well, if you have anything, if we have any audio issues, please let us know so that way we can get on top of it the best we can. We can hear them now. Thank you, Bricky.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. Welcome to the very first episode of Lore Drop Live, where every drop tells a deeper story. I am your host, Dungeon Master Eguile.
Yep. And I'm DnDWife, and today we're kicking off with a brand new character-focused series all about what makes a truly great adventurer or villain stand out.
That's right. We're diving into one of our favorite topics, flaws. Those beautiful, imperfect pieces of a character that give them real dimension and a lasting impact.
Whether you're writing a novel, building a campaign, or rolling up your next PC, we'll share our favorite tips and examples to help you build a deeper and more engaging character.
So grab your dice and let's drop some lore. So obviously, first of all, hello, Bubbas. I see you want to join into the conversation as well. Get up here. Oh, come on, fat boy. Oh, okay.
Oh, there he goes.
Okay. He's knocking my camera or my... Okay. All right, we're going to have to figure out with the kitty. Okay.
He's a good boy.
This is a full grouping here. All right, guys. Full
family affair.
But yeah, okay. Bubs, yeah, you're going to have to go to mom. All right, guys. Well, we thank you all. We decided to switch over and change a little bit here. We wanted to come to you guys with a little bit more lore. And, as much as we loved airing the videos, it just didn't seem like the right kind of connection to be able to talk to you guys and interact and answer some of your questions that you might have in regards to Dungeons and Dragons, character creation, and pretty much everything in between, because there's so much that it comes to not only just Dungeons and Dragons, but also, where did I lose my notes at? There we are. Hang on, I'm just moving my notes around.
But yeah, there is so much that goes into building a character, right? And you're sometimes intimidated by how much when you think about, even if you're not building a D&D character, you're building something, let's say for a short story, a novel. It's always so difficult when you start trying to make a deeper character, like a protagonist that actually matters and not just a background character.
There we go.
So you got to really think about what you put in there. And I think one of the funnest things to work with is flaws.
Yeah, right. And I think that's where we always started. Like, so I am notorious, and if you've been a player on my table, and I think I got a few of you in, hello, you guys. I definitely love to start with building a flaw into my character and almost making it like the principal idea of that character, right? So, instead of just always being like, how is my character perfect, be like, okay, what is the worst thing that shapes them?
And how does it shape them, right? Like, once you figure that out, then you go deeper and you start building this whole character, and it gets really juicy after a while.
And as we said, this is going to be a multi-episode kind of talking about character creation, all things, and that's not just Dungeons and Dragons, mind you. That's also if you are a short story writer or a creative writer, and you're just looking for a little bit extra ways to make your character feel so real.
Yeah.
But if you do enjoy us, and we hope you do, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're feeling generous, if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, well, we will definitely be willing to take that off your hands. But if not, be sure to give us a follow. So that way, not only do you get the special emotes and get to have fun, but you'll see when we go live. We're going to try to have these every other Thursday, so that way you can get a little bit more of your Dungeons and Dragons. But if you're looking for us every single day, we are available. You just come on down to the Couple of Nerds Discord.
Oh, yeah. It's so much fun to sit there, talk to us, talk to some of the people on the server, and, just see what we're up to.
Yeah, and that's usually where you get a lot of the first takes of various art from Etlink or the different side stories. So if you want a little bit more D&D, come on by. So really, The biggest thing and the reason we really wanted to start this series, and I think it's because a lot of people sleep on how much Dungeons and Dragons can do for your character stories.
Really, I don't think they understand how easy it is of a tool to help build a character. It can really help you out without you putting too much crazy like effort into it and having to rack your brain for things.
Yeah, and the other thing too that I love about it is that it just allows for kind of the starting point of building characters, right? Just like the other night I was playing Oblivion, right? Yeah. Those character builders are great, but when you play things like TTRPGs, like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, they're even more in depth, right? Like most video games aren't necessarily always asking you about the internal complexities of your character. They let the game do it for you, right? It's more of, do you want your eyebrows way up here? How big of a freaking cone head do you want? Right. But when you look at D&D, things like alignment and backstories, flaws, it really goes beyond just the looks.
Oh, yeah. You got to think about what makes your character tick. And I think that's some of the most important ones. But TTRPGs help you kind of take the time to delve into those characters and really build the meat of them instead of just making them these shells that don't have too much substance.
Yeah, and I mean, it really goes to show, because I think there's been a lot of new games. I think like the coolest one I saw was like I think the most recent, like Path of Exile, where it's like all of the characters are on the executioner's block, and then like what you don't choose, they're executed, and it starts to play a little bit more into the story. Or a game like we love, which is like Divinity.
I love it so much.
Where they are trying to push more of a backstory. And we see the same thing in, the newest Boulder Gate, where you can make a character from scratch, but then they also have some of these characters that already have pre-designed backstories. Yeah. So that way they know that we kind of really want that inclusive backstory to our characters. So sometimes when given the choice to make your own, it can be so intimidating that you're just going to make blank hair, character A, versus if you pick playing a Asterion to start, or Asterion,
right?
You're going to have an entirely different setup with how you interpret the character.
I think so. And one thing to note about all these characters that are pre-made and ready for you is that they all have not only rich backstories, but they also all have like one big central flaw in them that they're trying to overcome, they're trying to work through. And it can take many forms. Like for Gale, it's his obsession with magic got him in trouble.
Right.
So things like that. Like it isn't always about internal. Sometimes they have external consequences. And so you can see all these nuanced things that get created by having a flaw within your character. And that's where I think these pre-made characters can sometimes show you how it's made.
Yeah. And then obviously there's always like the secondary side of that, the other side of the coin of like too many flaws, right?
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to make the worst character I can think of. He's the wizard who can't cast spells. He's the bard who can't sing, and he's this
Fighter
and he's that. He's afraid of women, and he's afraid of his own shadow, and he's also a bigot, and he's also this, and it's well, all that ends up becoming is a parody, right? It becomes a caricature. And now, don't get me wrong, if you're playing a story, right? If you're playing a story where you want to have this kind of oddball goof, sure, but they're so unrealistic at the end. If anything, I know that if I, as a dungeon master, were to like put a NPC in front of them, right, and you go, okay, this person is just a straight up wreck, right? They're this, they're afraid of this, they're this, they got this problem, this one, and it's just umpteen flaws. My players are going to just destroy that person. They just already know that, well, that's not a real person. That's no one to take seriously, and we're just going to make a joke out of them.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that you can run into sometimes if you're not careful as a DM, right? You can create a character that is a little too ridiculous and kind of goads the players into getting them. Not saying it's your fault for doing that. You're trying to build a really nice, character or something. But I just think it's interesting to see how the different levels of flaw versus skill or goodness that balance can really affect the way not just the person who made the character feel about it, but the people who interact with that character or view the character read about it.
I love that we're able to look at each other now.
I know, this is nice.
It's different. This is great. I love it. But Bricky, Von Wallenstein, but we know him as Bricky, as he says, Dumpstack charisma bards are hilarious.
Right?
Now, and that's kind of the key point, though, that it's kind of the first bit of advice that I want to give when we're entering into this chapter of Lore Drop is that, balance is the key, right? So I think like the commonality within Dungeons and Dragons is like a dump stat character, right? And so I think you have to find that middle ground. Now, obviously, a bard has one, you have 6 stats in Dungeons and Dragons. One of them being bad is another thing, right? Like, and just in the stats wise, and you can go off of that. But if it is where, okay, he has this, and then because he has a dump stat, it's all these other problems, Now it's, well, he has a stutter. He can't speak in public. He can't do, and it's like, oh, okay, yes, it's all based, can't dance, right? It's all based around this one dump stat, but you've layered on so many extra flaws.
It's so nuanced.
It becomes too much. It becomes a parody,
ridiculous.
Right? Yeah. So really what we've gone and seen and experimented with, and where we've seen some of the greatest character developments are focusing on those flaws and designing around them, rather than just being like, okay, my character is, lecherous, or he's a womanizer, or they're bad with money, bad memory.
Right.
We know how that goes. Instead of doing that, looking at like the principal structure, right? When I'm making a character in a story, I mean, if like, Stephen King's writing a character, he's not going to go, well, this character has 8 charisma, he has 15 dexterity, 14 strength. So it's not always, but flaws. Flaws are universal
all over the place.
Into anything, right? So having a flaw of being either too arrogant or just too, a flaw being too charismatic.
Yeah. Too suave.
But like I like to base it around, and it's Bricky, you kind of pointed out too, the dump stat model. I use it a lot too.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So one of the characters I created using this process is a character by the name of Drip Drop. This was an alchemist who, mostly, and if you ever play in Dungeons and Dragons, alchemists are going to have high intelligence, smart geniuses. But my thought was not necessarily that he wasn't intelligent, but it was more of stubborn, right? Like he was so dumb that he was stubborn about it. And so what it was as an alchemist, instead of doing the perfect recipe and making sure the math was correct and the mixture and the balance, it was more about trial and error. And so you had this alchemist who was more about getting people to try and just see what happens than really knowing what he was mixing, right? And he was a great character. His head was a mixture of like grasses and different types of foliage. And obviously a man who's drank too many potions and is suffering from the effects. But in a sense, as a dungeon master, I have a lot more control over making characters like this. In a sense that it's not so bad for me to throw away a character.
Yeah, you're used to it.
Right, because if I make a dump stat character, he could disappear in a couple of sessions, he can die, it doesn't matter.
Bring in a new one.
But by making, as a dungeon master or as a writer, by giving even those temporary characters, those real flaws, right? A real thing of like someone who is trying their damnedest to be a great alchemist, but it's really not their kind of job. But that failure made him more charming, more memorable. I mean, we ran that for a one shot that you ran.
Yeah.
And we still talk about it. My players are still
story.
bugging me to put him into the story somewhere.
Into the world.
I got to find a good spot, though, guys. I swear. But, it's tough. It's tough to find the right spot.
And remember, we're not on the Hume continent yet, so we don't know where they are.
But, just like I would in terms of being a dungeon master, it's like, oh, okay, well, I can make a character that can be thrown away. I mean, there are chances that you can take a character that could be around a lot and do the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Like, I love my first character, Alira. She was awesome, but she did have a flaw. She loved money. Like, really loved money, to the point
is that a flaw or a trope for bards?
I mean, but for her, it was like she was in love with money. Like it was almost like the only obsession before she found Caladrax and they started their whole romance thing.
You can catch this up on DnDWife stories.
But even then, money was like such a big thing to her, and it wasn't until she almost died in a session where it was like she almost like swam into a pool that would have drowned her on purpose. Yeah. And she was going straight to her death. just in search of gold. She couldn't help herself. And I think that moment is what really broke her. And you get these amazing natural moments that D&D really helps you with that they're so spontaneous, right? You, as a writer, you might not always think of those interesting little tidbit things. Like, sure, you can make a money hungry person. That's something that's been done a while. Like we've seen all the people who are like, ooh, I want my money and I don't care who stands in my way. But give them the little differences, and I think that changes things. Alira then became not obsessed with money for her sake, but became obsessed with money so that they could pay for the war that was about to come to the planet, to the realm. So I think the change in priorities is what counts. And even if the flaw isn't completely fixed, you can work with it. You can find ways to use it to your advantage in unique ways that would surprise you.
Yeah, and I mean another good way to also kind of prove this, like the dump stat, kind of the counter to the dump stat idea, for an example, is kind of the opposite. So we have this character in our group known by Bogbean, a little small little goblin. And the funny issue is obviously the character had rolled really good for creating the character or the player, and had really good stats. And the idea being that, okay, well, if I have this character that has, I think it was like 18 charisma, right? So that's a high charisma character.
Gotcha.
So the thing is like, okay, well, how do you build a character where technically the stats would say that you're very good at something? Just like you would, right? Like you would write, okay, this prince or people who were getting all this, training would have this knowledge, but does that mean they're actually good at it? And so what the player ended up doing was this idea of, well, one, they were new. So they didn't want to quite be the focal point, knowing that if you have a charisma-based character, you're probably going to be a vocal piece. But the idea being is that, yeah, sure, you have high charisma, but it was more based on her size and appearance.
She's cute.
Because in essence, she may have good speak, but the dialect was horrible. The affect is very kind of unintelligent or sometimes unintelligible with the way it's spoken, but it really subverts the idea of this like talky charismatic, because it was, when this character or this person came up to me, it was, well, does this mean I have to be the talker? So
I have to be in charge
high
now?
step, or am I doing it wrong if I play my character? And the thing is just because your character happens to be really good at something doesn't mean that can't also be their flaw. And so when you look at this character Bogbean, who's this small little, goblin character and has kind of a lot of traditional goblin features, it's more of like they're so cute, which is why the charisma is so high. But then when she opens her mouth, it's like, oh no,
rows of sharp teeth.
Yeah, and also the language, it's like, this is a country bumpkin, to where you're not going to be dealing with that kind of stuff.
It's not.
Right. And so the whole point of that is like these flawed builds in Dungeons and Dragons lead to deeper and richer story moments because they're more realistic, right? Because so many times it's like this idea of like, if you have this Herculean type character, right? Like if they have great strength, then obviously they're a great person. Why? Like what makes them, is it more of they do this because they have a sense of insecurity that if they aren't the strongest, then they won't be the best or the most good.
Right.
But it's really, in real life, it is what drives us. Our flaws in humanity and the way we shape reality is based on the things we're trying to change in ourselves.
Oh, yeah, they make or break us.
If humanity thought they were perfect, we would have died eons ago.
Yeah, or we would have had a utopia that never had to change.
But the thing with it, and I think, and this is where D&D and I were talking a lot as to why we push this to other players, especially new ones, is that not all flaws are equal or inherently negative.
Yeah, not at all. They can be fun. They can be interesting. They don't always have to be dark and gritty and upsetting,
Right. And I mean, I would say, especially for you, and I think this really goes into you because I was waiting to kind of surprise this on you. It's very much like in your show Supernatural, right? there are how many villains that become good guys, become something else. I think the easiest way to see this would be one of your favorite characters, Crowley.
Yeah,
right.
King of Hell.
He represents this idea of like a flawed man and a flawed demon, and sometimes the flaws were good, sometimes they were bad.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the villain viewed all of those flaws as strengths, right? And so that's a lot of ways that you can control your villains, right? Because the worst villain is the villain who thinks they're on the side of right. And the greatest heroes are the heroes that think they're the good guys when in reality they're the bad guys. Really what an example is that vanity is used as a virtue, right? You go, oh, well, this person's clean because it's good. Well, maybe it's actually more, that they're doing it because they think if they're not clean, they're going to look bad, or they're hiding something, they're hiding an ulterior. So the actual, what we think is vanity and they're being vain is actually them so worried that they'll find out that they're a country bumpkin, and so they're being making sure meticulous. There's no dirt. And so what we would say is, oh, that's a flaw. Turns into this whole depth to a character.
It's like Pride and Prejudice, right? Where they both thought that the other thought a completely different thing. And they thought similar things, but it was in different contexts. They had to understand what that person was going through to understand what the flaw necessarily did. And it wasn't always a bad thing, but it could cause problems. So I think that this is where this sort of vanity as a virtue is really good.
Yeah. And so like for me, like flaws should always tie directly into a character's personal story, right? It's so annoyingly tropey if you read a book or a story and it's just like, this person is evil. And you're like, why? Because he is evil.
They were born evil. They will stay evil.
It's not really a motivation, right? No. Like it's not going to drive your stories, your character. But it's not going to be connected, right? So you always want to go. What I pick is like two major questions you should ask about your character. First one: why does this flaw exist?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Why is it there to begin with? If it's just there because oh, my character's too strong, I need to give him something, right? Like I wrote 2 Giga Chad and now I need to, he's great. Oh, but he's a klepto.
I need to nerf him a little
bit. And now it's, no, why does this flaw exist?
Yeah.
Is it essential to your character? Is it something that can change? Is it something that will, grow or become better or worse?
Or will it stay the same?
Right. And then the second question I always put is, what moment in their past shaped this flaw? And I think that's important, right? Because if you can just look at your flaw and go, what caused that? What would make a person view themselves?
Why am I like this,
way,
right?
Oh, if they're a womanizer. Oh, something happened to them in their childhood, which is a common trope. But you're already now starting to create a reason for the flaw. Not just, oh, it's this. It's, okay, he's this because of this. I really, a kind of interesting one that's kind of going on right now is in Demon Slayer, right?
Oh, good one.
With Akaza, and that he doesn't kill females. Right. And that just shows that this person has this flaw, which in essence in his own universe is viewed as such. But this person has shaped their backstory, their past, their history. And so even though this is a villain, we see a flaw that is technically in our side of good, but to the villain is a harbored flaw that is causing them problems. And I think that's really how you're going to make not only your flaw feel real, but start help building your characters. But I know you also have a big point on this one.
Oh, yeah. So, like, I hate it when the heroes just act good for no reason. Like,
I'm a good guy.
Because I need to be a good guy, because that's what's called of me. I think the biggest example of this is like, I don't know if you guys have seen Shield Hero, Rising of the Shield Hero, but it's an anime, and there's a bunch of different heroes that get called to a world, and one of them takes it seriously. One of them's like, oh shit's going down. We need to focus. But the other 3 are kind of treating it like a video game because they don't see it as real, right? It's all they've been summoned, so it doesn't really matter. They'll go back to their home, so none of this matters to them. And they're just pretending to be heroes, and in turn cause so many problems because of it. And I think that's the problem with just creating a hero that is a hero for no reason. There has to be a driving factor, and sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's not, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a Batman situation.
Yeah.
Like, they killed my parents.
I mean, not everyone has to be a Mary Sue or you know, a Giga Chad that solves every problem just cause.
It could be, this is my calling. I work specifically with this because, this happened to me, and so I want to help people that go through this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really is like the idea is like your character should need motivation, not perfection. I mean, especially for you young aspiring dungeon masters out there, like the Prince Charming hero archetype is terrible, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
And I love it because I think Shrek did the best, right? When Shrek kind of destroyed the Prince Charming aesthetic, and
that did it first
because he didn't have any motivation, right? Like, there wasn't a reason for him to do anything. He was just perfect,
and he thought he was the good guy.
Yeah, and so it's a perfect example of that. This avoidance of flaws, or just trying to make them very superficial as a way of grounding your character, isn't always necessarily the best decision to have. And like D&D saying, you want to have consistency, but you also want to have consistency for the character's good and bad things, right? It's so easy to be like, well, my character stops any crime. It's like, yeah, but your character also is scared of this, has this that hurt them, has this that's done something to them, and also can't sleep at night without night terrors. So, okay, yes, you are good in one aspect.
We're working on it.
And I think this really goes to show, because, and this is really in the key for early parts of stories and low-level Dungeons and Dragoning, right? Is that they disappear. I don't know how many stories that I've read, especially multi-book stories, where the character or hero or some side character that I really like has some kind of, thing, issue. They're a thief or this. And then somehow or another between books, they just disappear.
Yeah, it just dissipates completely.
Right.
There's no issue.
Without any kind of issue or problem or even a coming to terms moment.
Yeah.
It's more like, okay, I let you know the character has some issues. They worked through it. It happened a couple of times. Now I'm just going to ignore it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I don't want to do anything that hurts my character. So, my character's a womanizer. Well, I'll just make sure my character never steps foot in a bar, tavern, brothel, in a fantasy setting ever. Yeah, that's never going to happen, right?
It's never going to not happen.
And so you're not actually doing anything. And too often, flaws are solved instead of explored, right? Like, okay, my character has a drinking problem. My first 3 sessions, that's all I'm going to focus on. Find a church, get to sobriety, do this. And it's like, well, wait, it's not something to solve. No. I think a lot of people, and if anyone here has been in the system, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Yeah. So this idea is that you can't solve real world problems. Why would your fantasy character be able to do that?
Right. It makes no sense. And if you want your character to be personable, to be relatable to whatever audience you're trying to reach out, even if it's just the other players at your table, then you've got to explore these things. It's not just about sweeping them under the rug, just like a normal person, right? We got to work through our shit.
Right. And the thing for me too is that, like, true depth for characters for both TTRPGs and short stories really come when the flaws influence the decision making, not the backstory, right? Because like everyone has that past, but it's the essential like premise of what your character was too honorable, and so you kind of don't move against everything. Is in black and white, not in
they
gray.
Get frozen when things of a weird nature.
And when you can push that through an entirety of, say, a multi-year campaign, and your character still, even after years, is still trying to work with that issue, that's going to be more than just simply saying, oh, I had a traumatic past, because that doesn't make a difference to the actual story.
Yeah.
But if, like, it's going to sound a little weird, but if you make these flaws like a computer, right, part of your character's operating system, but then if you want, you can then slowly change them as you go, right? So each episode or each session, making yourself a little closer. Remember, I think this is a big thing. Flaws can evolve, but they shouldn't vanish.
No.
Right? Like you can slowly overcome your excessive vanity or your, the evil ways, but they don't ever just go away. I loved the greatest archetypes of characters where it was always kind of a question of, could they go back to being evil? Great example, Tommy Oliver, the Green Power Ranger, right?
Aww.
That just shows, right? He evolved over time. And even as he came back in the show and they wrote his character back over and over again, because it's awesome. Rest in peace, buddy. It shows that it was always a part of him. He used it to help other people. He used it to grow. It didn't just go away. They didn't ever just say, oh, you know what? You were under an evil spell. That was the whole reason.
It disappeared.
Or your whole something happened to you in your past and that was it. And now, you know what? You're over it.
You're cured.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're level 5. You don't care anymore that your family was brutally slaughtered because you made a mistake. You know, that's what I think flaws should really be focused on, right? Let the world challenge the flaws, not erase them. And this really goes to my dungeon masters out there, right? Like, if you have your characters and your characters or your players have these flaws or the story you're writing, challenge them, right? Put these characters in positions where, you know, you kind of give them the look. Hey, I know this is a flaw for your character. Do something. Roll with it. Dive head first. We've had, I think, some of the greatest moments, and I'm glad you're in here, Bricky, was some of the moments that we had with Calidrax and the kind of snap decisions where he had a flaw in that he was very possessive and kind of almost a short fuse. And we really didn't see that for almost the entirety of like the first year and a half.
Yeah, it was all, oh, I'm very calm, I'm very collected, I'm a bookworm, nothing happens, and then one thing goes wrong.
And as a dungeon master, what I started doing was putting more challenges in front, right? Pushing on the buttons of the character Calidrax. How far would it go? Would the character snap?
When Milo would crawl all over him, and
right, when there would be little things that would always come at him, but he would always kind of hold true until finally we had that moment. And that just really built so much into the character.
Oh, yeah. You know, Alira, his paramour at the time, lied to him to save his feelings and to keep him focused and at the wish of his mother. But when she revealed it after they found all the ingredients to make the cure, she was like, well, I can tell him now because we have the cure. We can fix it. It's all good. He didn't take it so well. He blew up. Kicked me out of the house.
It made for so much character development.
It really did.
Because it wasn't just, you know, oh, you know, he has these moments, he has these feelings. It was, okay, yeah, he had them very beginning. He's kept them in the middle. And he let them build the character, right? Instead of just going, okay, Bricky joined the group, he mellowed out. He's Calidrax joined the group. It really is so much better, and we had the kind of enjoyment of the character, because that to me was the realest moment, because in that moment I'm looking at the player, I'm looking at you, I'm like, holy shit, is this real?
That is the table key. About to break up.
That was the key to me. If you have a moment when you are writing and you have someone, here's what I always would say. If you are a writer and you don't play Dungeons and Dragons, that's fine. Give your character informations, your backstory, your bios to two of your friends. Give them, say, hey, if you were this person, how would you act? And then your other friend, give them another character, maybe your hero, your protagonist, whatever. You give them the other information. And you say, you guys just role play these characters. So they have no idea. You know everything about these characters. You don't need them to be there. But with your friends, as they do things, see what the reactions are. Do they kind of stumble of like, well, this doesn't make any sense. You know, why would I do this? Then you know maybe it's not necessarily a real character, not the depth you are looking for.
Maybe you need to tweak a few things.
But if you give them a little scenarios and these two friends of yours start kind of really getting into it and to a point where you start going, oh, my characters are coming to life.
Oh, all this dialogue.
You're on it. You're on to something, right?
Fire.
You got to use
record
flaws. Flaws are important because they create grounded, relatable, memorable characters. We remember characters not for their greatest strength, but their greatest weakness, right? Who does not know that Superman is deathly weak to kryptonite, right? We know weaknesses. It's half the reason I think people love Batman is because he doesn't really have one besides an actual bullet.
Yeah.
So it's that thing where it's like we know more about characters we love a tragic backstory, but we also love a broken person because everybody has a story, but how it affects them is what makes the difference,
it's so
right?
different based on each different person too. Everyone can have a unique thing, even if they do have a similar tragic backstory, right? And I will say those 2 questions Eguile posted earlier that you should ask yourselves about the flaw, those should be your backstory. That's where that belongs. Everything is after that once you start playing or once you start writing out the character.
Oh yeah.
So I would leave all that in the past.
But as we're getting towards the end of today's episode, and thank you all for joining us on our first live episode of Lore Drop. Remember, if you have any questions, shoot them up into the chat. We will try to get to them. But if you see on the channel points, there is an ask your question. If you take care of that, we will answer your question right off the bat. We will stop what we're doing and we will answer your question. Probably should have let you guys know ahead of time, but we're still getting used to all these buttons.
It's the first time, sorry.
But please stay tuned as we go more into more and more character creation, as we're really going to start with this character creation story. So we really wanted to start it with flaws, and then we're going to start talking a little bit more about backstories. As we all know, there's always that fun of you have the player who will write you a 40-page backstory and a player who will write you nothing. And we're going to look at exactly what should we be doing to make a comparable backstory, not only in Dungeons & Dragons, but also in creative writing.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited to find out, what can really make a character rich and exciting. It doesn't always have to be super complicated. So stay tuned for more episodes in this character creation series. And join the Couple of Nerds Discord and tell us what you think. What flaws do your favorite characters have? How have you used your flaws, in stories and campaigns? How have they affected them? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
And don't forget, like, subscribe, read a review, follow us everywhere. We're on all platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Acast. We can be anywhere you want us. Just let us know and we'll be there. And like we said, please be sure to give us that follow so you can at least get notifications when we come online. So that way you can be first in line like Kiwi today.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Kiwi.
you so much, Kiwi.
But as always, guys, we love you guys being here with us. We thank you. We know we're getting into this new rotation, so we do thank you guys. I think last Thursday we were sitting just us, but it didn't matter because we knew we had to get you guys a little used to us coming here to Thursdays. So this has been awesome. So thank you guys once again for coming and joining us. As before we end tonight's episode, we want to leave it open. If anyone has any questions about flaws, now is the time to shoot them out. Let us know. We'll give you the last couple of minutes beforehand as we take our last breaths here today.
I always love hearing what you guys got to say, what you guys got to ask. I know it's tough too to incorporate flaws. So if you have any questions, let us know because it can be tough.
But as always, guys, thank you.
Yeah.
This has been an interesting journey for us, and we want you to know this is just the start of many a new show, and this will be coming in the next 2 weeks for the next Lore Drop. But please check out the next week's Thursday, Just Us. We haven't quite thought what we're going to think to talk about, but it might be a lot about The Last Stand and what happened after that. So please check that out. Oh, we got a finally last little question. What was your favorite flaw of villain you created?
Oh, I like that. I have a favorite of my character, of your characters.
Villains? Okay, go ahead and give me yours first, because that's a tough one.
Okay, this was all the way back in Barovia. We went against Sable, and her flaw was that she was in love.
The Blood Queen.
Yeah, she was in love with Lysander, and she wanted to stay with him forever, so she made the pact, and she didn't give a shit who stood in her way. She was going to have her man, even if that meant plunging an entire realm into eternal darkness. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a principal theme. I want to say probably my favorite villain was probably Matthias. Or not Matthias. Sorry, I got too many damn names. Matthias is a good one.
It's a good one.
But he has not been introduced enough to really give him the credit.
He doesn't have the depth yet.
No, it was, oh man, I really feel bad that it's...
Ari.
The main bad guy from campaign 1. Oh man, this is so terrible. I'm the dungeon master too.
Yeah, it's that
he
guy.
had 2 names. He was
he was the
Styx.
advisor.
He was Magistrate Styx.
Yep.
And
Malthazar. There we go.
Malthazar. That one, I very much liked him, and I liked him more because the characters never really got to know about him. I think that's what I loved about him the most, guys, is that there was so many layers to him that the players may have discerned and could have found out, but it never really got out. So really it was more cherished to me as the dungeon master, because I got to know, okay, they hate this guy. They want to do everything to him, but man, this guy has just been screwed over and over again. Because it was a man who fell in love with an immortal, and we know how much that can suck.
All he wanted to do was live in long enough to be with her, which was forever. So, that's a tough ask.
Yeah, so definitely was one of my favorites. But close right now is Dr. Matthias.
Oh, yeah, he's building up
just
to be a great
because,
villain.
man, I can't wait till he gets the credit that he needs and gets in there and actually have him get a little bit more control.
Yeah.
The name fog is, I know at this point, playing Dungeons and Dragons, I imagine a lot of short story writers have the same problem when you have so many characters out there that keeping all the names together is just so difficult. I mean, I find it that we're still calling you Alira or Brenna all the time. I mean, even us doing our side story right now, we're having trouble not naming each other from our previous games. But it just shows, right? It just shows how much those things link to us. And I'm excited for Matthias. I know, I am awesome too. Once we pick that story back up, I'm definitely excited to see if you guys are going to maybe go after him or him go after you guys in the foreseeable future. So I'm definitely excited for it.
Awesome.
But that's going to be great.
And that's it for today's lore drop. We hope this episode got you thinking about your character in new ways, especially how their flaws can make them shine.
And remember, perfection is boring.
Boring.
Flaws give you the characters that have real heart. So take what you learned today and go breathe some life into your next characters.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review.
Down here somewhere. Hit the button. Hit the button.
Right there. And join us on Discord to share your favorite flawed characters. We love hearing all your stories, and it's so much fun to see what you can come up with.
All right, guys, but we will catch you next time right here live on Lore Drop. Live, everybody. Remember, Lore Drop, where every drop tells you a deeper story, guys. Thank you all once again for everyone showing up. We appreciate every single one of you guys.
We love you.
And we will see you guys hopefully later this evening when I'm streaming. If you guys want to watch some Oblivion, hopefully Dan the Man is still going to help me out and figure out where the hell I'm supposed to go next. Which we are super excited and catch this weekend. I think we're going to be back to painting D&D.
I am this Saturday, and then I'll be live streaming tomorrow. I'm going to take a bit of a break tonight.
We're going to go party a little bit, guys. We're going to have some fun.
It's almost last day.
We're celebrating the last end of our season.
Yeah, we got to get on it.
So agents, please hang out. We're going to be doing some stuff. But we're definitely going to take some time to ourselves and enjoy a little bit of mimosas and have some fun. I hope all you guys do the same and have a great rest of your night.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.